I'm Hank, and I'm with my buddies Tobi and Rich, and it's time to talk some shit. Today, I just want to mention that they're in the FinTech industry. I don't personally really know what the hell the FinTech industry is, but other people seem to know what fin means. I'm imagining it means finance, but I really don't know. And evidently, in Germany, because even they're as fucked up as we are, they just had a $4 billion fraud claim against the company Wirecard, who evidently works with all the banks in Germany. And now, who knows what's going to happen. I don't feel too bad, though, guys, because Deutsche Bank got screwed, and I am okay with that because they are the laundromat for every criminal organization in America. So that's all right. So anyways, Bold Gestures podcast. I've talked too long, and just like this podcast, said very little.
Yeah, la cabeza. Up on the speaker, Serafina. Yeah.
So one of you smart people explain to me what the hell FinTech even is, because I don't know. You keep saying fin, and I know that that's not the whole name.
I think it's just financial technology, isn't it? I mean, it's just a new industry it's blowing up. I mean, it's huge. It's huge these days. I mean, we know when we had our business, we were using Stripe. We were using PayPal. I mean, you look at companies like Venmo. It's almost like a social, they bring some social media into it. It's a big thing. And I'm from what I read, this Wirecard was the new big thing in Germany. I mean, it was blowing up. It just looks like that came to a crash.
Yeah, they were the new big thing, and FinTech basically just means innovation in finance, usually combined with online stuff.
See, I didn't know Venmo and stuff all qualified as that, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was the same as that.
Venmo is big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I pay my drug dealer, through Venmo. It's very convenient.
Like the Telegram for money.
Hell yeah, bro. It's the best way to pay your drug dealer in the world.
Would be funny if your drug dealer would offer like Stripe payments and you could be like, nah, I want a refund.
My drug dealer has promo codes. He sends me a promo code, 10% off if you use Venmo.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good system. How you liking our graphs, Tobi? Our corona graphs in my boy Rich's Texas and my Florida.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all.
Fantastic. It's called Americans Gotta Be Number One, Tobi. We have to be number one.
Yeah, I think, usually all other graphs are going down right now. You guys are shooting to the stars.
We only go up.
Yeah, we're hunkering down. My mom just came into town for 2 weeks, and I'm betting that she's gonna get stuck here. Our hospitals are in Austin and Houston and Dallas, I think, are a few days from capacity. So, yeah, no, it's getting out there. So I think we're in for another wave, unfortunately, which will, I think if it's as bad, as the first one, I think a lot of crazy stuff's going to go on in the markets, and good thing for Wirecard, they'll be out of the news real quick.
That's still the first wave, right? Because it never went down.
Yeah, it's true. It's just,
Don't tell our government that, Tobi. That's propaganda where we come from, all right? And we don't talk about that, all right?
All right, I won't mention it again.
All right, they already said there will be no second wave, all right? And that we have nothing to worry about, all right? That's the truth, okay? That's the truth. There is no coronavirus, all right?
And Trump said you should test less, right? Because if you test less, you get less positive results.
He's a fucking genius, Tobi. A genius. All right. Rich, tell us about Kara getting, because this is really interesting because we're talking about finance and the fact that I just mentioned coronavirus. Explain a little bit what happened to Kara.
Yeah, it's funny. It does kind of relate to both. So yesterday, 2 days ago, and this happened before, about 3 years ago, from people stealing our mail at our old place in our old neighborhood. But she got a couple of those envelopes that have that hard plastic in there. And, anytime you get the hard plastic, it's like, what the hell is this? And most of the time you throw it away, but got a PayPal card, got a Arizona unemployment debit card. And then that's what made her think, what the hell is this? What's going on? Come to find out, she called her banks, called everything, basically got her identity stolen. Somebody filed for unemployment in Arizona under her name. And so I'm not, we're still waiting. I mean, nothing's come out of her banks, of her accounts or anything, but, and then she tried to call Arizona unemployment, couldn't get a hold of anybody. It's all automated systems and it's just, you can't get anywhere with that. So there's no help on there. And then she called PayPal. The interesting thing is she called PayPal. Now I got to confirm with her, like, well, no, she called because she got an actual PayPal card. But she called PayPal, but the number was like redirected to another number. And she could tell right away it wasn't as professional what you'd think when you'd call PayPal. She could barely hear him. But there was this person like disregarding her questions about this fraud and trying to get her to answer questions about her and her accounts. And she just hung up on them and thought, that's, nice try. They called her back, try to convince her like, yeah, we need to help you. Texted her to call her back and emailed her. And I mean, that's pretty terrifying when your identity gets stolen and then somebody's harassing you of all communication systems. Like, that's pretty intense. And it makes me wonder with all this going on, all these, all these cards flying around, all this money just being transferred, unemployment, but also with Wirecard and everything. But what's going to be the impact of this? Like, I feel like right now, like the world is covering up a lot of chaos and we're in this purgatory of, we think we're all right, but in reality, our vitals are pretty bad. And we'll see, but there's just a lot of craziness going on. And, with all the electronic transferring of money, of everything, there's going to be these issues. Like, we're in the middle of this, it makes sense. A company like Wirecard to me, with FinTech, it's not a new industry at all, but it's very big right now.
It's big and it makes it easy to scam people. We had something similar with N26, another fintech bank in Germany, and people were on Facebook selling tickets for soccer or whatever. And then you had other people telling them, yeah, I want to buy a ticket. So they somehow made it so that the other person sends them a picture of their ID. Like, for verification, they said, I can send you the ticket, you can pay me later, but send me a picture of your ID just in case that you don't pay me so that I can track you back. Once they had the picture of the ID, they opened accounts with that picture on N26, bank accounts, and used them for scam. And they took pictures from their Facebook profiles to also use them for the scam. So they basically made fake Facebook profiles with bank accounts that they had access to with another person's name and used it for scam.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Inventive. That's the type of imagination and creativity we need in this world. Just maybe not stealing from everybody. like maybe that's not where that brain should be. But, I mean, I totally, I believe at this point, like Rich was saying, like everything is, it seems like they're working 24/7 at this point to just try and keep people there's still riots and going on all over America right now, all over the United States, but they're not putting them, no one's talking about them anymore because now it just hasn't stopped. Like, someone was taking pictures from the first day at this Occupy City Hall protest in New York City, and there was like a couple hundred people there. They were like, this is the first day 2 weeks ago. They're like, this is today. And there's like thousands of people in front of City Hall.
Yeah.
And it's just now they're like, we got to stop. We got to get this shit off the television, this and that. So, I mean, we'll see. They're pulling down. It's gotten to the point where, like, now we've moved past just pulling down Confederate statues. Now it's any statue is coming down. It's coming down. And I was trying to think about, like, why would you? Because, like, in Milwaukee, they pulled down a statue of, like, Madison, and they were like, oh, he was an abolitionist, blah, blah, blah. Why would they do this? Then they beat up some Democratic state senator who was filming or something like that. And I would, everyone's like, this is just chaos. And I was just trying to make sense of it. I don't even know if this is the response, but I just feel like maybe they're just like, all of these statues are bullshit. Like, you just put them up just to make us all think everything's better because the statue was called, like, Forward or something, like Progress. So they ripped it off and I guess dragged it through the street or something like that. So it's, chaos. We're in the chaos stage of birth, I guess. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I think you have very different people protesting there. Groups of different people. You have the people who pull down everything, and you have the people who protest to protest. So that's two very different kind of people.
Yeah, and you got a lot of people that, with the protests being valid, you got a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands right now, and you got a lot of people that are not in a good place because of everything going on, and on every side of thing. But with unemployment, with people losing their jobs, you got that time, but you also have people struggling, and that's where this it's crazy that, honestly, it's pretty crazy that the Wirecard scandal happened right now, because it's so unrelated to everything going on. It's not a after effect of everything that's been going on. This is a completely separate thing of major fraud. And so, it has nothing to do with it, but it just adds to this impact of this is constant, like, what's going on? Like, it's almost a sense of people feel like we're losing control of the world, and feel like we're just going to fall off the face of the earth, with everything. Like, it's a sense of collapsing. And I could imagine, being in a tough position and, losing your job or what have you, or going to the, just being a big part of this, like, collapse. And then I don't want to say collapse. I'm not saying it's going to collapse, but we haven't, we've been on this downslope of just bad shit one after the other. And I feel like people are just thinking it's just, they're not looking, oh, it's going to get better. I feel like people have kind of lost hope, where it's kind of comedic, where it's like, all right, what's next? The whole joke with the murder hornets. It's like, what happened to the murder hornets? We passed that chapter.
They're getting West Nile in Miami now. They're getting West Nile. There's been like the 12th case of West Nile virus in Miami.
How long did you guys talk about these hornets? Because here it was like, I don't know, in the news for 1 day or two.
Yeah, it was like 2 days. It was like a couple days. Yeah.
I've seen more memes about them disappearing than the actual news of the murder hornets.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the word murder hornet. It sounds,
I know.
Sounds like they have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. It's like, I think you do have things to talk about, guys. Like, I wonder how it all plays out. And I feel like the Wirecard thing actually, you know what I would say? It actually is, even though it looks on the outside, it looks like it has nothing to do with what's going on. And obviously it has nothing to do with coronavirus, nothing to do with, but I think it kind of speaks to like what part of the reason why people are losing their minds, because like you said, everything, it's just one after another. And it's just another example, like, look, you can't trust them either. You can't trust these people. Like, I know in the US, like, people are just untrustworthy of every single institution. I don't know how it is in Germany. So I could see that would just enrage people more. And now, they're already hungry. They're already not getting any money, and they're, on the verge of losing their home. So I agree it's not part of it, but it just feels like it's Well, that's, that would happen right now. Someone would steal $4 billion or whatever it is. It is interesting.
Yeah, I would really like to know where that money went.
I got it. Because I feel like here they wouldn't end up in jail. Like the CEO wouldn't have been arrested. They would have been like, all right, man, you shouldn't do that.
No, for 100% he would have been arrested. 100%.
You think so?
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
I mean, it's 4 billion. I think so too.
I mean, that's not like a CEO like paid himself more than most CEOs, or like he sold stock at a questionable time. Like this is $4 billion missing. Like it's like that's Madoff. I don't remember how much Madoff was, but
I think what's missing is actually only the 1.9 billion. And once that was missing, the stock went so much down that they had to take a loan of another 1.6 billion or whatever, but they can't pay back that loan. So it all summed up to 4 billion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the 2 billion. Yeah, that made sense. I read something like that. I saw 4 billion and 2 billion, but to your point, I think
would be funny otherwise. Like you get completely fucked because there are like 2 billion missing, and your response is, damn, it's 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, miscalculation there.
Yeah.
It's mentioning billions missing. A watchdog group. I'd have to read the study, what the watchdog group found, but they found essentially the lead of the story was this watchdog group looking at this stimulus package that the United States gave to like corporations and stuff. 1.4 billion. I don't know. Maybe Rich, maybe you've heard about this. I don't know. But it from what I understand, $1.4 billion of stimulus money was given to dead people.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. 1.4 billion or million?
Billion. 1.4
in the US?
In the US from the CARES Act, 1.4, and people are like, you're supposed to tell us. We were supposed to have a list of who got the money, and they're just like, yeah, we're not doing that.
And it was $1,200 a person, right?
Yeah, but I think this might have been I'm not sure if it's the stimulus, the $1,200 checks that went out. I think it might have been like actual like bailout money. Yeah, like $1.4 billion. So I mean, we'd have to look into it more.
Where did you hear that? I didn't hear anything about it. I mean, that's huge. That's huge news.
Yeah, you should research that, because if it's not true,
yeah.
This world, nothing's true in this world anymore. Who cares?
Turn into a.
What do I care? People don't.
Turn into a satire podcast.
Yeah, some of this stuff we mention is true, and some
fake news. Fake news.
Let me see here.
Yeah,
it was in stimulus payments.
Wow,
that's funny.
Yeah, 1.4 billion in stimulus checks to over 1 million people. They sent it to
that's like something Frank Gallagher would do. Did you watch Shameless? Yeah, that's his stuff.
Yeah, Shameless is great.
Yeah, over 1 million $1,200 stimulus checks were sent to dead people. Some people got people? 2 checks. Yeah,
dead people, or just mismanagement of the sending. Because 1 million dead people. It
was by a government watchdog. They reported it to Congress on Thursday. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That might not sound too crazy, because if they're going off of, I'm assuming they're basing the people they send it out to, they're basing it off of the previous year's taxes. Mm-hmm. So if that was done a year ago, how many people died from a year ago till now? I mean, like I'm sure it's not 1 million, but, I wonder how many people a year on average die in a country like the US, to where maybe, that might not be as crazy if, because that's why I'm assuming we got it, is based off of last year's, or actually the prior year's taxes. Because, I think in the new pay scale, I wouldn't have got one. And then, how would have they known anything without researching other than last year's taxes? So, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
I think we kind of, it's like, because right now, like, I know the governor of Texas mentioned, like, all right, we got to start, guys, we got to be careful, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know he didn't shut anything down or anything, but he has talked about, like, didn't he mention, like, people need to start, we need to be concerned about this and that. And same, I know Florida, DeSantis is, the governor's just like not even existent. But it feels like they could do something about that. Like 1.1 million people, like, I'd imagine they could figure something like a workaround that to make sure that money doesn't go out.
Well, yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
But I think they're at the same time, people are also pressing them really hard to get that money out.
That's
like
true.
To put all those measures in place, and then they probably thought, what, if they're dead, they can't use the card, so the money's not going to get transferred, and they'll know what accounts still have a balance after it expires or whatever. I just think like
That's
there's.
True.
It's a big project. It's a big, there's a lot of rush. It's a crisis. So I'm not saying like, 1.14 billion is nothing, but there's a lot that could be, put into that in terms of, that makes sense. I mean, there's 330 million people in the country. That's a third of the, a third of the percent.
Yeah. That's not really a lot of people.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think, I think the thing on Wirecard, I think it's great for, just, I feel like somebody's got to go down to really like take it to the next level in regulation and FinTech. And it is kind of, I don't want to say getting out of control, but security does not always catch up with technology right away, and that brings holes like this, and maybe this is just your classic accounting fraud of just moving money and hiding it, which it actually sounds like. So just that's something that that's going to be hard to get rid of, because that's just playing the system, and no matter what measures you have in place, like there's always basic accounting fraud is, I mean, it's going to be there, but
I feel like there will still, in the future, there will be one really big fraud, something we didn't see yet, because with FinTech growing, people getting used to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, there will be one person, like, I don't know, stealing a really big sum in Bitcoin, for example.
Yeah. So I don't know much about blockchain, but I know why like people are big on it is it's very direct. It's like basically the source of truth when it comes to transactions.
Yeah, Jeff should use that for his drug dealer instead of Venmo.
Listen, my drug dealer isn't up that. He ain't at that level yet.
Is something like is this Wirecard fraud? Does this help blockchain's case in terms of what they provide? Being that, look, with this source of truth, we can't hide 2 billion because nobody owns blockchain, or is that? And like it makes me wonder. From what I've heard about blockchain, being that it's just transactions are open, everything's open, everybody can see it, but it's a source of truth. You don't have some guy.
Everybody can see it, but it's anonymous, so you can easily hide money with blockchain. Because you can do a transaction. The transaction says basically money got sent from wallet A, which is just a bunch of numbers, to wallet B, but not who's behind that. So you could send.
So you think it's more susceptible?
It's more secure actually for the end user, but it's also easier to use for illegal activities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's got its own issues.
That's the main issue with blockchain. But it's very secure. That's another thing, and you have less fees. It depends a little bit, like how it works is basically that you have working devices that build the chain and send the money. So if you send low amounts of money, $5 or something, you pay a high transaction fee, like maybe $2. But if you send $5,000 in blockchain, then the transaction fee might be only $4. So it doesn't really work for low amounts of money. So your drug dealer should wait until he makes it, Jeff.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He needs to go start selling bulk if he's going to do it that way. You know, I've read a couple months back, Yao, friend of mine, Yao, mentioned that there's a Russian, like it's a organized crime network, but they work mostly in tech, and they go by the name Hydra, like from Marvel Comics. And evidently it's a drug dealing service that's all done through an app, and no one ever meets anybody. It just tells you where to go pick your drugs up, and they'll just be in the bathroom at blah, blah, blah. And I guess they're expanding this. The organization, the Russian crime organization that owns it, is trying to expand it to the entire world right now. So we will all just be buying. I guess they're just putting drug dealers out of business in Russia. You know, they're destroying that whole industry. There's no, there's no dealing drugs anymore unless you work for the Facebook of drug dealing in fucking Russia. And they call themselves Hydra, which I thought was hilarious, being a comic book nerd. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Like if you're a dealer for
Hydra?
them, Hydra is the organization that Captain America fought against.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny.
And their motto is cut off the head of one snake and two grow in its place. So you can never destroy Hydra.
They're
They just
really
keep
big.
growing.
They have 2.5 million registered accounts and 400,000 customers.
Go Hydra, yeah.
What they do is they pack the drugs and hide them somewhere and geotag it, and then you can buy them in the app, and it shows you the geolocation. Like if you would pick up, I don't know, a car you can rent, these cars that you can rent per phone, and then it shows you the location, and you go there, and pick it up.
That's wild. I know. I guess because the drug
like
laws are very
Uber?
heavy.
Like
Sort of.
Does it offer drug dealers to sign up as like droppers? Or
I think that's how it works. You can either be like a drop person, or you can be a dealer, and they just connect the two. Like, hey, someone needs heroin on the corner of this and this, pick a spot, and then they would just like geotag, like he said, your drugs will be here. And then you just go and pick it up. And I guess they're
really
doing it
like that. It's commission based. Like Hydra gets a commission. And between 2016 and 2019, Hydra's 5,000 shops contributed $1 billion to the platform in sales commission.
Wow.
I love how there are 5,000 shops. like it's like an Etsy store.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So who's better, Wirecard or Hydra? Because Hydra is at least open about the commission.
Yeah, I'm pro Hydra. Hydra.
Hydra, I think, is hilarious because it just goes to my point. I feel like politics and government's gonna have to just catch up, or just they're gonna have to implement technology and data and the truth is, my hope is that in politics, like, truth comes out in the sense of let's base it on the data, let's base it on what the people want. And a company like Hydra is like, all right, if you guys gonna want to stay in this archaic world, we're just gonna develop technology to just get what we want, like.
I think so too. And I mean, you guys are busy with the Space Force, so you don't really have capacity to fight that stuff.
Yeah, we're too busy guarding the space. Meanwhile, Hydra is just fucking putting all of our hardworking drug dealers out of business. It's what happens. Tech giants, they come in and they destroy the market. What's my buddy gonna do? But yeah, I wonder if because from what I understand, Russia has like crazy tight drug laws, so that's why they did it that way, because they were like this way. And I guess like even if like the Russian police, like even if they catch like one of the dealers or whatever, there's just no connection. They can't give them anybody. Like they can't say, oh yeah, Sergey up there. They can't.
I wonder if it's a government app, if they just made it to get some money. They're like, let's create this, pretend it's just a company, and just won't go after them. But
that's right, really them. That's right. I could see. I mean, you never know these days. I mean, Deutsche Bank's probably funding the entire operation.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's a great
Hydra. I know, it gives you hope, doesn't it? For anarchy in the future, it just kind of gives you hope that, okay, at least drug dealers are getting into the software business. Everyone realizes we need to move up, you know?
Yeah, when I went out to LA for work, I'm in the Uber from LAX to the office, and my Uber drivers tell me about an app called Weed Maps. And basically it's just like, you plug it recognizes your location, and it'll just point you to, the nearby, pot shops and their ratings and menus and everything. And it just, in those certain areas, it's so early in the process. But in terms of, being in California and only a few states out here, but there's just a lot. It'll be interesting to see how that develops, how, drugs are kind of just started to look at differently, because in our country, we have a major drug problem with prescription drugs, and people just think that they're good because the doctor gives them, but we got massive problems here.
It's pretty easy to get kind of hard subscription drugs, right?
Yeah.
And you don't need to be really sick to get them.
You want to hear a wild story? I'm going to give you a wild story about prescription drugs. So my family's business used to be we live in South Florida.
Yeah.
No. We sell restaurant equipment, all right? It's completely legal, all right? But so we had this office that was in this little 4-unit plaza, and we were on the second floor. There was 2 units on the bottom, and then there was 2 units on the top, and it was all outdoors. So we were in the top right unit. And it used to, before we moved in, okay, so the bottom left unit was a massage parlor at first. And then they used to be in our unit. So that massage parlor one day gets raided because it was just a whorehouse. So they all go to jail. But then a year later, this doctor moves in, and he takes up the location, and he's a pain doctor. All right. And this is prior to Florida changing its prescription drug laws, because we made them a little bit tighter. But at the time, you could just get Oxycontin like it was, Halloween. You just knock on the door and they give you a couple. And so this doctor started, like, within a day of moving to that location, there was just cars filling the entire area from all over the country, mostly in the southern states, from like all the license plates said like Georgia, Tennessee, all these places. And come to find out, this guy's writing prescriptions for Oxycontin like in the parking lot for people. And he's just handing out these prescriptions real quick. So the landlord goes, "You're out, get out. I don't want you here. You've been here a month and it's already been a problem." In that 1 month's time, the guy made so much money that he bought the building next door. That was the building next door to a preschool, no less. So he buys this building, continues doing what he's doing, and all of a sudden, one day, he gets raided by the police. And they catch him trying to escape, dressed in a wig and a dress. He dressed to try and hide himself. He was a doctor. Got caught. Yeah, it's a constant thing down here, man. Everyone's on. The amount of people we know that are just like, yeah, I take Xanax every day of my life. Like, that's just part of it. I think it's all going to be legal soon, Rich. I'll be honest. I think in like a year, we're all going to be so miserable because of this shit that they're just going to be like, you can do heroin now. Like, do whatever you want. Like, if Trump gets reelected, I literally think he's going to legalize all drugs. Like, I think he's just going to be, go ahead, smoke crack, do what you want. It doesn't matter. I'm not giving you any money, so just smoke some crack, bro. I think that will be legal everything. You don't think so?
I mean, well, in the future, I'm not sure. I mean, if Trump gets elected another 4 years, no way.
Yeah, if anything,
I saw the humor in it. I know what you mean. It's just like kind of like, but yeah, no, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's, I think there is you still draw lines. I think the lines are just really bullshit right now.
Yeah, they are.
And I think, that's going to be a huge ongoing thing with the battle between humans and pharmaceutical companies, because there's just so much money involved in that.
There was a big thing on 60 Minutes about it this past weekend.
Yeah. I think, people people need to look at natural remedies. People need to look at the East and a lot of the stuff they do, Eastern medicine. is it's ancient, it's old. I mean, not only just a lot of stuff, a lot of natural stuff. That people could do that. If they just gave it a set. They want the instant. Like I pop this pill and I'm like, here, let's read a 5,000 page book for tomorrow's test.
I know my brother does like 8 miles a day running and boxing. I'm like, how's he doing all this? It's like he's training to fight Tyson. And his wife's like, it's not Adderall. I was like, oh, it's like, no wonder he's like zoned in. He's like, like you think he's about to go fight Apollo Creed or something. I'm like, what's he doing? And he's like shadow boxing. And I'm just like, man, he's really into this. And she's like, yeah, he is gacked, right? He is right here the whole time. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that I feel like that wouldn't happen to me. I've just like my focus would go into something else.
Yeah, Adderall reminds me of that movie Limitless. With, where he takes like it looks like a contact lens of a pill, and he just takes it and he becomes like, which is odd because in the movie it's like he could do anything and he decides to get into mergers and acquisitions. It's like, you're the worst person to take a limitless pill.
That's what they all would do. How about trying to
save the world? How about trying to like do something amazing? Like you literally could be a superhero, but like Adderall kind of reminds me of that. It's kind of just, you feel when you're on it, you feel like you could learn everything in the world in a night. And it sounds like something you wanted. I mean, that's obviously a heavy dose, but it's, that's a wild drug too, just because, we get introduced to it at a very young age. And there's so many different types now, so many different brands. And in Europe, is that a big drug out there? Do we know?
It's pretty hard to get any hardcore drugs on prescription in Germany, at least. I think in most European countries, it's tough.
Yeah, we're like, I mean, it's funny because I was always in like, when I was in elementary school, I was in like basically the classes like where people were just troublemakers or they had like learning disabilities or something. Not like kids with autism, more just like kids that are like myself who like dyslexic or have reading issues and stuff like that, or have like ADD or something like that. And I remember I used to have to walk kids to the office every day so that they could take their Ritalin or Adderall or whatever. And all of those kids are even worse now.
Yeah, I mean, Ritalin is a problem here too. And they start figuring out here that you shouldn't give everybody Ritalin because most of these kids don't do better afterwards. And actually, most of them are fine.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like I think taking it like I took it a little bit in college, like, but it was prescribed to me, and so when I took it, I didn't feel anything, but I think it makes more sense taking it as an adult, maybe, but like as a kid, man, like I said, every kid I know that took it that was prescribed as a kid they're kind of a little off, like they're a little out there.
They started Hydra now.
Oh, they started Hydra. Yeah, those kids started Hydra.
Yeah.
Hydra was just started by like Pfizer or something like that. Some pharmaceutical company started. They got bored. They're like, maybe we could start selling heroin, guys. Like that Limitless, like the guy gets into mergers and acquisitions. I think you're wrong, Rich. I think that's exactly what people would do if they were given that thing. They'd be like, what? Like, you could save the world. No. Who cares about the world? I got to get rich first, pal. And they're just going to buy companies and stuff. I mean, look, like someone was saying, like, they're like all these tech giants, like the people that work there are geniuses. They're like, we could probably be using them to build spaceships to get us to different, like all these different things to help the world. And they're like, nah, I'm going to build an app. I'm going to build an app to connect people with other drug dealers. It's...
Yeah, I could build a really good health app, but I will build Tinder.
Exactly. Didn't you get a job offer to work to do like real like work for the health organization or government or something? Yeah, and you're like, nah, I'm gonna go to this.
I'm gonna work for an American company.
I'd rather go over there, help them make some. I don't know what the hell they want me to do, but they're gonna pay me a lot of money. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm not any better.
Yeah, it's how it goes. That's why I keep telling Rich he should be working for our government, but he refuses.
Yeah, no, it sounds terrible.
See,
Yeah,
I
that
think
sounds
that's what we need.
like fixed hours and
Yeah, no motivation,
No.
shitty office.
the office is not shitty here. Would be next door basically, but still.
Yeah, here we I mean, I can't say here. I mean, there's so many government offices. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's typically just. So I hired a guy who came from the Texas Department of Transportation, and they have like 3,000 people in Austin, government. And he came in his interview. And I called him like, look, it's Halloween week, and we're having our costume contest today. So just to let you know, and everybody else can be like dressed up. Like, feel free to dress up if you want, but I understand, whatever you want. And he's like, okay. And I dressed up as Wilson from Castaway. I painted my face red and I put a volleyball over my head. I cut it out and I wore a white shirt and I had like straw coming out the top. And then my boss was Waldo, and the interview guy comes up and he's dressed as Waldo too. So the first interview are two Waldos. Like talking serious like job interview stuff, and but we had the content. He was just walking around like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, none of this at the government tech stop building. Like, he was just blown away. But yeah, it's just it's a major difference. That's I think we were talking in a previous conversation about how that's the new thing. Like, tech companies just they want to make it fun. They want to incentivize those people, the smart young people, to join their company with those little costume contests, parties, happy hours, full
Fucking
kitchens,
beanbag chairs.
Yeah, which it is comfortable. Like, that, it is a nice workspace when you go to those places, but because it could be dead if you work in a bad office. Have you guys ever worked in like a really like dull bad office?
Yeah,
like, it's the most unmotivating thing.
It is, and it took me 1 hour to get there every day. Like, that was really not very motivating because you spend 1 hour to get to a place that's way shittier than your home. Just to work there for 8 hours, it's not nice.
Yeah, it's and I think
Is
it's
that when I was out in Germany.
Yeah,
Toby. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that you had to go like out to the suburbs or something, right?
Yeah.
I think just speaking of offices, like that, in my opinion, I was mentioning earlier in the podcast about we're kind of covering up the reality of what's going on. Commercial real estate it's got a tank. I mean, my company alone is getting rid of their offices, and those are big offices, expensive offices. People are moving. Like, that's a cover up right now. Once that crashes, that's going to affect the residential real estate, which is going to affect, it's that trickle effect is, I mean, I don't know around the world how that's acting with commercial real estate. I would assume it's the same thing with more regulations, companies are backing out. I think that's going to be a global trend if it's not already, but I think that's going to have a heavy impact.
Yeah.
A lot of companies just backing out of their lease.
Yeah, they do, or they have to. Like, even big companies, it just gets too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been I think Cheesecake Factory did that.
What about cheesecake?
You said cheesecake?
There's a chain in the US called the Cheesecake Factory, and I think they this was like in April. I think they just notified every single landlord essentially to all their restaurants that they were not going to be paying rent this month. And it's just like, what do you say? Like, I think you're right, Rich. Like, that's definitely got to happen. Like, you can't, like, even my brother's company, like, his CEO is like in his like late 50s, I guess. And he was like, dude, I didn't think we could do these things from home. Like, he didn't think it was possible to do their jobs from home.
I think COVID-19 surprised a lot of people with that, like how much you can do from home, how much more effective a Zoom call is sometimes than actually meeting other people. It saves a lot of time. Everybody's there on time.
Yep.
I never saw someone being late on a Zoom call, like on a company Zoom call, actually. And yeah, it's super effective. Nobody wants to stay too long on a Zoom call.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to get through it and get done with it. No,
Yeah.
I think it's for real.
I think overall, like when you really think about it in all aspects of life, this change, one, it makes sense. You know, technology is huge and technology allows us to connect in all distances. So naturally over time, I know COVID, expedited it, but it's going to allow people to not have to congregate so close in these big cities because you don't need to be right next to it. Technology allows that spread, and it's going to give people room. It's going to give people their space. It's going to give people ability to breathe. And I think there's negatives that come with it too, but I think more so it's a lot of positives. But also too, like you think of like family and and marriages and stuff. It made me think about it. Like with parents home, working from home with their kids, I think you're going to get a rid of a lot of bullshit relationships and marriages that people marry just to marry, because you have to be around them 24/7 now, and you can't hide that. Like divorce lawyers are probably going crazy after, all this, because, a lot of people would hide their, personal life by going to work and stay late at work and overly work to avoid, their reality. And I'm not saying that's if anything, it's the opposite, which is why I feel strongly about it, because we've talked about like, man, like it's good we like hanging out and we enjoy spending time together all the time, because there's a lot of couples and people that can't do that, and it's gonna change stuff, but I think for the better in all aspects. And to be honest,
I think it's really funny for people who, I don't know, married a week before all that shit started and moved in with each other. And then you're like together for 3 months.
The first 2 months you're just fucking 7 hours a day, just banging it out. And then after
And last
a while,
month is like competition on trying who can call the divorce lawyer first.
Yeah, man. Like, fuck, what's it called? Cause like now, like my brother and Ashley, like they're down here now. So like the whole family is in the house. And I was just thinking about, cause like I was just thinking like, man, if I was living in a 1-bedroom alone right now, as much as I do like being alone, at the same time, like it's like that's gotta be like, if you're stuck, like if I was living in some random city in the US, like away from friends and stuff like that and family, like yo, it would be bad. It would be bad.
But I mean, you're a real family person too in the end.
Yeah.
And Rich, I think you're too, right?
Yeah.
Family person. Yeah, I like if we visit my family. Also, I love my family. But like if we go over Christmas and my wife says, yeah, let's stay like 2 or 3 nights, I always negotiate it down to 1 night and in a hotel.
Yeah, that's not
like
even permitted in my family. In my family, it's like, no, you're not staying in a hotel.
Yeah, my mom used to have a cat and I'm allergic, so that was always a good excuse. But now the cat is gone, so I have to think about something else.
You're like, Ma, it's not the cat, it's you at this point, right?
It's always been.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think, because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was just like, I'll be honest, I'm like, I think this in the long term will be good, like to what Rich was saying, that not only is it showing like, man, don't connect yourself, like if you get married to somebody who you're not happy with, and look at, you got to spend all this time with them, like that just shows it's not a very strong foundation. But like, I also think that this is going to strengthen like your guys' family relationship is going to be stronger with your kid as a result. You know what I mean? Because you're spending a lot more time with them. Like you're going to influence them a lot more in life. And I think that that's ultimately a good thing, unless your parents are psychopaths, then they're going to turn their kid into a crazy person, even quicker.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it because Stella, our daughter, her daycare shut down, and we haven't got like a nanny or anything because, we don't know what's going on. They finally announced that daycare got bought out. It's, all this changes. And we're like, you know what? We don't even want to send her back with everything going on. And so we're looking at like a part-time nanny, but it's like, so we've been taking care of her while working, and about 2 to 3 hours a day, I'm on Stella duty in the middle of the day, which on a busy day, that's really hard. But, part of that is like usually like an hour and a half of that 2 to 3 hours is during her nap time. And so really it's like an hour and a half I'm not able to work, midday, but at the same time, people take lunch breaks, people take, general breaks where, in the type of work I'm in, I need I need like a good chunk of time in the morning, good chunk of time in the afternoon to like really focus and I'll get more done in that time than if I just worked 8 hours straight through with random distractions. So it's been nice to your point, like, my breaks are hanging out with Stella, which, you see more of your kid. It's going to strengthen that. Like, I think there's a lot of positive to it. I think there's still a lot of transition left to go because not all jobs are like, mine or Tobi's where you can, or even yours, Jeff, sit down and just write. You need to sit there and have a chunk. And so you could balance that stuff. Like some people, call centers, stuff like that. Part of Kara's fraud thing, PayPal, their customer service center was closed due to COVID. And it's, jobs like that, it's probably really hard to work from home.
I mean, the people who did the fraud, they all have to work from home as well right now.
Yeah, like, dude, they're like, this is affecting us too, bro. I'm paying rent on a place in the Bahamas, all right, and I don't get to go there, all right. I got to work from home. It's even hurting us, guys. It's even hurting us. Yeah, no, that's true. I think, I just think it's gonna be it'll be good. It'll be good in the long term. It almost feels like this, like kind of like we were saying, this is accelerating things that were already happening. Because like when my brother was saying, like his CEO was just like he couldn't believe that they were able to like they literally launched a streaming service, during the lockdown. And his CEO was like, I never would have thought this was even possible. And it's funny because everyone that was like in their 30s or younger was like, yeah, idiot. It's been we've been trying to tell you all that we don't have to keep coming in here all the time. All right, we could do it from home. And now like the older generation is starting to realize, holy shit, I don't even need to rent an office space anymore. Yeah. Like that was so unnecessary. I feel like it just kind of answered a lot of issues we were already having, but I don't know.
I feel like it's a win-win in the end. The company saves money. I think you still should see your coworkers from time to time. Mm-hmm. So, but do that in a restaurant, get some food together or whatever. Don't need an office for that.
I think the biggest opportunity to solve still is like collaboration. I do think there's a negative impact for like Zoom type collaboration meetings and strategy. And honestly, I think, even thinking of a senders, I think if we were all in the same city and had like an office or were able to meet up once or twice a week, I think that would have benefited. It would have helped. Like, I don't think it's a huge difference, but I think that's still like, I feel a lack in terms of my job, a slight lack right now of the collaboration because you take those meetings with the whiteboard that you could really strategize and think through and just, sit back and relax to sometimes it'll turn into a quick Slack message or an email without all the people on there or, even Zoom meetings. It's, I think it's the start of it. I think it's the start of this, new wave of collaboration, but I think there's still a lot to really make up for, being there in person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the newspaper that I write for now, like it's like, I have a fairly good relationship with the editor. She's really cool, really nice and everything. And she's, helpful, but at the same time, like everything is done through email or text message or at most a phone call. And it's like you said, like when you're kind of in the room with someone, you can you get like, I'm better at understanding what someone's talking about when I can see their face and I can like see them talk, like, deal with like their facial expressions and stuff like that. I think that helps get points across. And I know that that's kind of been an issue. Even like when I got to interview people, like right now, she was like, I need you to do an in-person interview. And I'm like, I'm not going to go to some like busy place she wanted me to go to and interview. I was like, I can make a phone call. You know that, right? I can call them on the phone and we could do the interview. And she's like, yeah, you should probably just do it that way. I was like, yeah, we had 5,000 new cases yesterday. I don't think it's necessary just for me to go and interview a gun club owner. It was like a guy like Tobi. The amount of guns that are being sold right now in America is astronomical. I mean,
Yeah, I hear that.
it's crazy, bro. People are like running out of Glocks. Like, bro, we don't have any Glocks. Someone called, my father's buying guns. Everyone's buying guns. Rich, you bought a gun, right?
Yeah, I saw a picture.
Yeah, I bought a shotgun.
It's like, don't talk about.
It's
my
funny.
grip, all right?
The sports store. It's called Academy Sports. It's a big box. It's like a Target or Walmart of sports equipment. And there was a line out front, and there's a sign, this big whiteboard sign right at the entrance. It had a list of guns they're out of, and a list of guns they still have, and a list of ammo they still have. Like, not like, here's a list of our new canoes we just got in, or we got
But people need some background information on this. Like, this is in Texas.
This is in Texas. This was right after COVID like really became big, to where stores were still figuring out, and there were heavy regulations. So you're waiting outside 6 feet apart, and everybody's going there for guns. And I went to the gun section, and it was like one of 3 shotguns left. And that's nothing. I mean, they have full walls and cases of all types of stuff, and it looked like it was ransacked. And I wanted to get a 9mm mainly, but they were out of those.
Which so you got a shotgun.
I got a shotgun. It's pretty badass.
I know it is. I saw it. He showed me a picture. I was like, wow, that's like what you go kill buffalo with or something.
Yeah, but there's TexasGunTrader.com. That's a website. It is legit. It's like the Craigslist. It's a shitty website, but like it's like
Hydra
Craigslist, like
Hydra for guns. We hid the shotgun there and there.
Yeah, you can pick up your shotgun behind the toilet in the McDonald's bathroom. The registration's there. Just make sure you sign it. There's a notary sitting in the bathroom stall to make sure that everything is above boards.
No, Hydra would sell the unregistered weapons.
That's right. Would you like your serial numbers filed off, or are you planning on doing that yourself?
Like an add-on.
It's like an add-on feature. You want it without serial numbers? Yeah.
Drugs, guns, and hookers. They're going to start a hooker division.
That's right. When you bought your shotgun, Rich, was there a waiting period, or did you just able to buy it and bounce?
They run your background. It took like 10, 15 minutes.
What do they check on a background check? Just criminal record?
They just want to know if this works. They're like, does that work?
They check. They check your criminal record.
Do they check for mental health issues and stuff like that?
Only if you have a criminal record of it, or like, actually, you can't have a criminal record of mental health. But I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, if they, like, if you go to a mental institution, like, are there things that go on your record in terms of, hey, this person's, got a mental illness. I'm not sure how that works, but I'm assuming they do. But then again, you can't really assume much. They want to get that in the hands of.
Maybe they do nothing. They tell you come back in 15 minutes and they go back for lunch.
Yeah, I mean it's really simple. Like I when I bought my first house in Austin, a friend of mine was a realtor, and so he helped me get the house, and he actually said, "Don't worry about commission." He did it for no commission. So I was like, "Oh my God." And so I bought him a shotgun. So like, you just buy guns, and I think it's probably still registered under me, so I might be liable for it, but
Rich, that shotgun you bought me? I never got it re-registered, and I killed somebody. So the cops might be on their way. Run. All right. Yeah, I remember that was like a Beretta you bought him too. It was like a nice one. Didn't you buy him like a Beretta?
I think it was a Remington.
It was a Remington?
I don't remember. But yeah, it's guns are actually they're not bad investments. They don't lose their value.
Like a MacBook.
Like a MacBook. Like, I have a friend who has all types of. I mean, he's got. You go to his property and you just shoot like Tony Montana style in the lake, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. But he's got all types of stuff. He's like, look, you have fun with them, and you can go around and sell it for the same price you just bought it for. And a lot of guns will go up in price, and some will lose value a little bit. But then you talk about gun regulation. Once guns start getting outlawed, that's going to increase the value of these guns. So a lot of people, they're actually a really good investment right now. You're not going to get rich off of them, but it's like putting your money in a bank. I mean, when is going to be the day that you're going to be able to sell an AK-47 for, it's just going to lose its value. Like, oh, it's $20. It's like, no, people will pay big money for that forever.
The AK is built in Florida too.
Really?
We make them in Florida. Yeah. I guess that's where they're being made. I heard this guy was on there, this guy Dan Crenshaw, he's a congressman from Houston, I think. But he was talking about how he was like, why he argues for the idea that everyone in America should have a concealed carry permit, should be carrying a gun, and that would bring down violence and stuff like that. And he uses Switzerland as an example. He's like, look at Switzerland. Every single person there owns a gun, and they don't have nearly the crime, like the murder rate that we have in other places.
Yeah, but that's bullshit because they can't use it.
Exactly. I was like, dude, because they're like you said, because I remember you telling me about this. You're like, everyone in Switzerland has a gun, but you're not allowed to have a loaded gun. Like, you're not allowed to have ammunition in the gun.
I mean, I guess you can get a license there as well, like everywhere if you're a hunter or something.
Yeah.
But it's still different. And that gun, you don't have ammunition for it at all.
Yeah. Like, you couldn't walk around with a semi-automatic rifle just like with like a clip in it and loaded and just walking through Zurich to go to the
do that. You'll get in real trouble if you do that.
Yeah, that's not illegal. That's not illegal here, bro.
I know. I think these pictures of the protesters with guns, that was crazy. Like, they look like heavily
it's pretty
loaded.
Intimidating.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And it's like normal people running around like that.
I know they're like flaunting their like freedom, quote unquote, yeah. But at the same time, you got to be a fucking idiot to do that, because these police are trained, riot police, specific orders, and anytime there's a gun involved, they're on alert, and they're based off of training now. Like, when do we encroach? Like, if you put his hand in his pocket and like lifts up his phone to show the police something, but one of them thinks, like, you're just putting yourself in a very, like, dangerous. At that point, it's like, it's hard to blame, it's not hard to blame, but there's going to be mistakes with, how police are trained at that point, because once there's a gun involved, they don't base it off of, oh, how's this person talking to us? They base it purely off of actions, I'm assuming. That's especially when you come in with like an AR-15 into a government building or anything like that. That's
that's crazy.
What's it called?
You gotta have even no brains, or you just you gotta have kind of no brains at that point, or just don't give a shit, because that's crazy.
Yeah, this senator his name's Rick Scott. He's in Florida. He used to be the governor. He's a big pro Second Amendment guy or whatever. And it's funny because someone pointed out, they're like, this motherfucker is always talking about how it is our right, the Second Amendment, to be armed. Like, and this was like originally he mentioned it during like the reopen the economy protests, where you had all those dudes with AR-15s like in like government buildings protesting and shit. And then cut to like yesterday, he's like, this is an unruly mob. These people, you have people in Georgia walking around with rifles, long guns. This is not what the Second Amendment was for. It's like, what are you talking about? You literally, it's like, oh, it's because like, and there's like showing pictures of like this black woman with an AR-15 and like body armor on and everything. And it's like, yeah, that's how it goes. So, but all right, that's our first episode of Bold Gestures Podcast, everybody. All right, have a great day, guys.
All right, later.
Drop it like the Titanic. The Titanic is the curse of the big booty. Empty wallets, rich cooties. Turn players to stiff groupies. Why every pitch movie? She got dad skipping out on family time to see the tattoo above her panty line.